We know Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler have massive upside, but what other running backs have massive upside? Let's find out. Hey, before we get into that, I got some exciting news to share. FlockFantasy.com/endgame is the ultimate cheat code for your fantasy football season. Put your fantasy football skills to the test by playing redraft against myself and Pierre. Battle us to try to take home cash prizes. And you can ace your draft like a pro with our exclusive video draft course to help you dominate your fantasy drafts. Gain the edge with our top-notch draft rankings plus our weekly in-season rankings. And get access to our secret knowledge with our bonus articles and videos that you cannot find anywhere else. And as a special bonus, you can show off your fantasy skills in style by wearing one of our classy Endgame t-shirts for free just by being a member. Sign up now at flockfantasy.com/endgame and get an amazing 30% off your subscription. Whether you like it or not, Bijan Robinson has massive upside in 2023. This guy checks every single box you want out of a running back. He can run between the tackles, outside the tackles, has a vision, has a burst, has a speed, can catch passes, and he can pass protect. And he landed in a great spot in this Atlanta offense, not only running behind a great offensive line, but his head coach is actually very underrated as an offensive guru. He knows how to get the most out of his players, out of this offense. Bijan Robinson is an incredible talent, one of the best talents we've ever seen at the running back position. He's going to smash this year, whether you like it or not. I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care if he's a fifth-year guy. I do not care. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the talent and the situation. Everything is there. Bijan Robinson has massive upside in 2023. As does Tony Pollard. Despite being stuck behind Dusty Zeke last year, he was able to finally pull away from him, finishing as the RB8 overall, and was an absolute monster down the stretch, helping teams win championships, winning week after week. And there's no reason to think that is going to change in 2023 because Zeke is gone, and all they did was draft a 175-pound Deuce Vaughn. I mean, the only other running backs behind him are Malik Davis and Ronald Jones, who just got suspended for PEDs. Now, it's only 2 games, but who cares? Because Ronald Jones is a non-factor anyways. Tony Pollard, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be an absolute stud this year. He's a great player. He's efficient. He's explosive. He's had home run potential every time the ball is in his hands. He's in a great offense, an offense where teams have to worry about the pass, not the run. He's going to face a lot of light boxes. Everything is there for Tony Pollard to have massive upside in 2023. And as much as I like Bijan Robinson, I also understand that Jahmyr Gibbs has massive upside in 2023. Because this is a guy who could be an 80 to 100 catch guy, and in PPR leagues, that almost guarantees he'll have massive upside. The Lions drafted this guy so high, not because they were like, hey, he's a running back. They view him as a weapon in the passing game. Jameson Williams suspended the first 6 games. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, but then what? Really nothing. I mean, Marvin Jones, Sam Laporta, who's a rookie tight end, there's not a lot here. Jahmyr Gibbs could have a massive target share those first 6 games and really establish himself in this offense. And I know people are worried about touchdowns because of David Montgomery, and that could be an issue for Jahmyr Gibbs. It was an issue in college as well. But this guy is such an efficient runner, so efficient with the ball in his hands. And behind this offensive line, even with limited touches or limited carries, he should still rack up a decent amount of yardage. He'll score enough touchdowns, and with that receiving upside in PPR leagues, Jahmyr Gibbs has massive upside in 2023. And I know you're worried about J.K. Dobbins being on PUP, and they went out and signed Melvin Gordon, but I'm not. J.K. Dobbins still has massive upside in 2023. This is not an injury-related PUP. Yes, they're claiming it's some kind of injury. They're actually not saying it. They're saying an undisclosed injury because it's not an injury. He's sitting out. They put him on PUP to protect themselves because he's basically sitting out. And if he doesn't come back by week 6 of the season, then basically next year he's in the same situation again where his contract rolls over and he's on the last year of his deal. He's going to be back. John Harbaugh's already talked about it. Todd Monken's already talked about it. He's going to be back. He has to come back. He has to play this year. It's the only way he's going to get paid next year. He's not a guy like a Josh Jacobs who has his track record that he can lean on. If he doesn't play this year, teams aren't throwing money at him next year. He's going to be out there. He's going to be fully healthy. He's a great runner. He's an explosive runner, an efficient runner. I keep talking about this offense. Teams aren't going to be able to stack the box. It's going to be totally different. They're going to play faster. It's going to be more dynamic. They're going to run like 3 wide. It's going to benefit J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins has massive upside in 2023. Don't be scared off by the pup. And also, don't be scared off by DeAndre Swift's past. I know this is a guy who's frustrated us for years, but you can't ignore the talent. He was a great prospect, and he's been nothing but great when given the chance. He's been one of the most efficient runners, one of the most explosive runners, a great pass catcher. He either just hasn't been able to stay healthy or has been in some weird kind of situation with his coaches. But he's no longer with those coaches. He's got the support of his coaches. They traded a 4th-round pick for him, and you can say, that's not a lot. Well, look at the running back market right now. Guys like Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, they're not getting anything. Trading a 4th-round pick for a running back is a pretty significant investment. And yeah, they got Rashad Penny. He's fine, but look, DeAndre Swift is a different level. He's a different type of guy. This is a guy who doesn't need a ton of touches. And he's now behind the best offensive line in the entire NFL, one of the best offenses in the NFL, and he's got the support from the coaches. All he needs is to stay healthy and get the opportunity. We can't do anything about the health. We just got to hope it happens, but I believe he gets the opportunity this year. That's all he's going to need. He's also on a contract year, so he's got a lot to prove. Don't be surprised if DeAndre Swift has his best season ever by far, because he has massive upside in 2023, as does Rachaad White. And you may not think so because you're like, well, he's on the Buccaneers. How can he have massive upside? Well, I'll tell you how he can have massive upside. Number one, he has the potential to catch 80-plus passes because last year between himself and Leonard Fournette, they combined for 123 catches. Now, you can say, well, that was with Tom Brady. He checks it down a lot. Well, you know who checked it down the most in the entire NFL last year? Baker Mayfield, who's likely going to be the starting quarterback. And even if it's Kyle Trask, he's going to check it down plenty too. Don't worry about it. Either way, Rachaad White is going to get a ton of receptions. He's also the clear lead for the workhorse role here because who else do they have? I know you're going to comment down below and say I'm sleeping on Sean Tucker and the only reason he went undrafted was a medical issue. That is not the only reason he went undrafted. I didn't think Sean Tucker was anything special as a prospect. He's fine. There's no one really behind him. If Rachaad White can get 200 carries even and just average 4 yards per carry, which isn't even that good, and he catches 80 passes for another, say, 600 yards, which also isn't very good. We're talking about 1,400 yards and 80 catches without any touchdowns. We're talking about a 220-point PPR running back with 0 touchdowns. Whether you want to believe it or not, Rachaad White has massive upside, even in this terrible Buccaneers offense. And a guy who's kind of the opposite of Rachaad White is James Cook, but he also has massive upside because he also could catch a ton of passes. Now, James Cook isn't going to get to that 80-plus catch mark, but he can get to the 50, 60 catch mark in this offense because who else is catching passes here? Not Damian Harris, not Latavius Murray, not Nyheim Hines, unfortunately. Nobody else is catching passes out of this backfield. Now, granted, they're not going to throw it to the running backs 100, 150 times, but he doesn't need that. If he can get to 50 catches, he's efficient enough and explosive enough to do plenty of damage with that. He's a guy who could average 9, 10 yards per reception, and he could average 5 yards per carry. So if he can get to that 120, maybe even 150 rush mark at 5 yards per carry, he has massive upside. He's also going to score his share of touchdowns because, again, he's efficient and teams can't go in worrying about the running backs, worrying about the running game. They're worried about Josh Allen and that passing game. James Cook was pretty good last year as a rookie, showed everything you want to see. I think he gets more involved this year in every way, on the ground, through the air. In this offense, James Cook has massive upside. And then finally, this one hurts me a little bit, but De'Von Achane has massive upside because it does not look like Miami is going to sign Dalvin Cook or Ezekiel Elliott or any of these other running backs they've been linked to. It's getting down to the wire here. You got to sign these guys pretty soon. And this offense is predicated on one word and one word only, and that is speed. De'Von Achane has speed. He doesn't have size, but that's okay because in this offense, he doesn't need it with that speed because he's not a guy who's going to be relied upon 15, 20 times a game. He's probably going to be in that 10 to maybe 15 range on most weeks. But that's enough because he's got home run speed every time he touches the ball. He's a guy that could get, 6 to 8 carries, 2 to 3 catches, and any one of them could be a huge touchdown run or a huge touchdown catch. That is why he will have massive upside. And defenses can't worry about the run. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle. Defenses are terrified of getting burned by these guys. He's going to face a ton of light boxes, very few defenders in the box. They're going to use him in the passing game. They're going to get him on the edge. This guy, every single week, is a huge play waiting to happen. He's a guy you're not going to be able to keep out of your lineup because, man, you might leave 30 points on your bench any given week. It pains me to say it, but De'Von Achane has massive upside in 2023. All right, those running backs have massive upside in 2023, but which running backs have massive upside? Check them out right here.